Who hurt you, little girl?
Hello, Facebook. Haven't done a video in a while, and I wanted to be sure to insert my opinion about this very viral case of Ahmaud Arbery, who is being dubbed as just a jogger by the media. And I just kind of want to talk about really just the media's role in propaganda and how upsetting it is to me that Black America always seems to take the bait. Like, I have to say, this case, after all of the work that I have done these last 3 or 4 years to wake Black America up to the fact that every election...
Wait. See, that's where we got to stop. Wait, what?
Whoa.
Dude, the work that she has done to wake Black America up.
Where is it? Where's that body of work? I need to review it.
Did she just Fannie Lou Hamer herself?
No, right?
She just Ida B. Wells herself.
She sure did. I am somebody. All the work I've done over these past few. What? I need somebody to tell me what's her educational background, because I didn't get a chance to look at. I think I just play
propaganda, and how upsetting it is to me that Black America always seems to take the bait. Like, I have to say, this case, after all of the work that I have done these last 3 or 4 years to wake Black America up to the fact that every election cycle, there is some story that they perpetuate that is supposed to make us think that we are being chased by the Ku Klux Klan. And yet here we are, a couple of months away from an election, and there are Black people running around saying that we are being lynched in Georgia. So let's just start with just the case and how it's been being reported. So first, you are hearing that it is a modern day lynching. That should instantly, if you are a Black American and American, make your ears perk up a little bit, because there are not really modern day lynchings that are taking place in America. There are not lynchings taking place in general.
I'm sorry. There's still lynching taking place. Maybe not at the rate that it was taking place back during Jim Crow or after Reconstruction, but there are still there was bodies hanging. Most recently, there was a case recently.
But hold on. See, now all of a sudden she's the expert on lynching, and she's trying to narrow it to you must need a rope and a mob. Like,
all right, go ahead.
Happened with a gun. You know what I mean? Like lynching. All right. Anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
That are taking place in America. There are not lynchings taking place in general. I mean, even at the time, at the height of the civil rights movement, when Black people were actually being lynched, it was approximately 3,500 Black people that were lynched from the entire period of 1882 all the way up until 1968. All right, so that's actually a very low number relative, not saying that lynching is okay, obviously, but a very low number relative to the population that we had at that time, or the population that we had all the way up until 1968.
This is my point. Please. This is what I want to.
Please.
This is what I'm saying, right? Because what you're discounting is what lynching has done to us as a people, like the psychological trauma and effects and what that accounts for us. Like, somebody gets lynched one day and then there's a non-event tomorrow. That's not how it works. You needed 6 weeks for a phone call. So you mean to tell me over the span of these 80 years, you're talking about thousands and thousands of people being lynched? That type of terror visited upon a community of people doesn't just go away because you pull the knife out.
And also, see, this is what Candance Owens does. I've watched Candance Owens very closely. What Candance Owens will do, she will sprinkle a little bit of truth.
With falsehood, right? Because it wasn't civil rights. Right.
Because it wasn't civil rights. And also that number isn't right.
That number's not right.
The number is not right. And second of all, those are of reported lynchings.
There we go.
When they were looking for Emmett Till, they were dragging rivers, finding other dead bodies.
That's right.
When they were looking for Kerner, Goodwin, and Schwartz, the civil rights leaders in Mississippi, they were dragging rivers and finding other Black people. See, the number is just like the COVID number.
Exactly.
Right? People saying it's 80,000, but we know it's like 380,000.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
That's what I would say to her, because she always wants to tell a little bit of something and then try to diminish the concept. If there was one lynching, that's too much in a place that is supposed to talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's not Americanness for everybody.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right on point, Royce.
People need to follow the money, especially when it comes to Candance Owens. They need to. All you got to do is look at who she speaks for, who she's a mouthpiece for. She's a mouthpiece for Turning Point USA and the Heritage Foundation.
Right.
All you do is look at that, and if you know that, and you know a little bit about both those organizations, those think tanks, you know what they support. Bottom line, they support the alternative right, and the underlying ideology of the alternative right is to slow, I'm going to quote Jared Taylor on this, is to slow the dispossessions of whites in America. That's the objective. They masquerade as conservatives. Let me say that again. They masquerade as conservatives. Okay? They do, and they have us playing the left versus right game. Man, listen, left and right are vehicles. You hit me in the car, I'm not kicking the car, I'm looking in the windshield. Okay? This is who she's the mouthpiece for. She's a brown-skinned apologist to appease pale-skinned racists.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly right. But she doesn't know that.
And then I also think that she's out there to not really, you talked about left and right. Elections are won from the middle. And I think a lot of what she's out here to do is to see how many independents they can pull right. That's what I think.
Exactly. That's right.
Because Democrats don't believe that. And Republicans don't want to believe that and believe that. But the people in the middle, those are the ones that can be swayed when you add a little bit of truth and then you put all that lie on it.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Right.
All right, Raphael, we'll press play. Let's see what else this clown got to say.
Common in general. The idea that people are going around lynching people in 2020 America, you can already know and you can smell that something is wrong with the story. All right, so before I even saw the video, because I just was interested in the reaction to see how far people were going to take it, I saw that LeBron James issued a tweet, which quite frankly must have been the dumbest thing I have ever read. The tweet was that we are literally, meaning Black people, we are literally being hunted as soon as we walk outside of our own homes. So this is either laugh out loud funny or really stupid. In my opinion, it's both. LeBron James doesn't even touch his own car door handles. LeBron James is currently building a multi-million-dollar, $100 million estate in Bel Air right now. And LeBron James has a white chef. He's got white housekeepers. LeBron James is somebody that has white people waiting on him hand and foot because he is successful and he has a lot of money, and that's what comes with money and success. So the idea that
So what comes with money and success for a Black person is having white people work for you. That's what comes. And since you have white people work for you, then you are so disconnected from the experience being a Black man that your money now replaces your Blackness. That's what you're saying? Because I can remember a couple lyrics would just say, you just a nigga in the Benz. It doesn't matter what you have. Let me tell you, you can look around, I have a number of degrees. I walk to court, I got a briefcase and a nice suit on. And I get this from a court officer or a U.S. Marshal at the federal court. I walk up to the building and they go around the corner. Entrance is around the corner. They don't even ask me. I know where my entrance is. It's not around the motherfucking corner. It's right here, the attorney's entrance. That's the one I'm going through. Right? So it's mind-boggling to think that because you have a level of success or because you have reached a certain financial status, that for some reason in this country that for your Blackness ceases to exist. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And that you can intellectually critique it if that is the case.
Right. That you're not qualified anymore. You don't
Okay,
get
you
to speak.
rich, so now you can't think.
Right, that's right. You can't speak
You beat the race game because you got a few bucks.
because you got some coins.
Yeah.
And how does she know he got white people waiting on him?
Right.
The thing is too is that she knows better. She's she's being coached and she's playing on the perceived ignorance of our people.
You're just not smart.
We can buy our way out the race game.
Right. That's all it takes. Okay.
But we don't really believe
Now
it.
of course we don't believe it. We've got examples of prominent Black men who have been accosted in their driveways, right? Because the police officers didn't believe they lived in a particular community or lived in a particular home. Okay, so that dispelled by just a couple of glances in the newspaper from 2 days ago. Get out of here.
Right.
All right.
They're perpetuating some idea that Black Americans are literally being hunted for walking out of their doors is pointedly ridiculous and should have made everybody go, okay, this is really dumb. So I finally look at the video. I'm expecting, based on all of the rhetoric, on all of the articles, just saying that it's an example of a modern lynching, I am fully expecting to see a video of a mob of white people, maybe with a rope, maybe with some guns, just marching down the street towards a Black person so that they can kill him and make a mockery of him. That's what you should have expected based on the rhetoric that was perpetuating, and everybody was outraged left and right because of this 10-second clip. What I actually saw watching the video left me with more questions than answers. First and foremost, he was not being pursued in the video, obviously. It looked like he was running towards the car. And then when the two people who had guns, he went around and he attacked the person. So that actually left me with a lot of questions of like, what's going on in this circumstance?
Paul, so how do you get that he went around and attacked the person, right? Because you're supposed to be looking at this video with not a jaundiced eye, right? You're supposed to be, well, I'm just going to look at it. It doesn't look like first of all, there's somebody behind him. There's someone who's filming him as he's running. So what part of they weren't chasing him or they weren't behind him? I don't even understand that. That's the other person that they might be arresting.
Right.
That third person. Right. So to me, it would make sense that the first car pulled up and then stopped and waited for him.
That's what
they
happened.
Knew he was coming that direction.
They had put him in a trap where the guy behind was behind him and the truck was in front of him, stopped so that he would be in the middle.
That's right.
And she doesn't know because the video goes out of frame. It doesn't say who attacked who. It just shows that after this first shot, then you can see him wrestling with the guy.
Right.
It doesn't even show that.
Correct. They're just, bro, you know what, brother and sister? This whole video is literally desperation. It's a desperation Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
This is desperate. This is like I'm praying you Negroes can't think.
Right. Just take this, what I'm going to give you right now. Just take this.
It's crazy.
Went around and he attacked the person. So that actually left me with a lot of questions of like, what is going on in this circumstance? Who is recording this video? Because the person who was recording the video was obviously catching up to the situation. He hadn't been trailing this person. And I just wanted to know, how did everybody watch this 10-second clip and instantly think that this person was completely just a jogger?
We saw this movie before.
And how that came across. Secondly, I noticed in the video and after reading reports that he's wearing khaki shorts. So just an easy question to ask is, if you are just a jogger and he is being described in the media as an avid jogger, this is something he does all the time. I do not know any avid joggers that jog in khaki shorts. Now, again, that's a question.
Pause. So because you don't know,
like
right? Because only your perspective can inform anything.
Reaching. Like you're reaching.
That is such a, seriously? Come on, are you kidding me?
He had to be up to something because he's got khaki shorts on. He had to be up to something.
Maybe he wanted to keep his keys in his pocket while he ran. Like, seriously, that is the
Maybe he liked to jog in khaki shorts.
And that's a crime.
Maybe his sweat shorts were dirty.
Right.
Maybe he
He's
just
an
wanted to.
jogger. He out of his regular clothes.
Anything. It's just saying that if you looked at the video, you probably should have had more questions than answers. And yet the media and everybody was issuing a verdict that this was some crazy situation where a couple of white people woke up and thought, you know what? Today, I want to lynch a Black person. And I think this is the right guy. I see someone, let's go for it. Let's get in our pickup bed and go find ourselves a Black person. That was actually just made no sense. But people rarely pause to think because people are desperate to foster this race narrative in this country. And because there's not many examples of people being lynched or Black people being pursued on foot by white people, the media really drummed this one up. All right, so we instantly should have been asking ourselves, is this guy just a jogger? That was sort of bottom line. I thought there's no way this guy was just jogging. And then you hear that the people that actually shot him had called 911. So for everybody that is saying that this person was murdered, I can tell you right now, no matter how upset you are, this is not going to amount to a murder charge. The legal definition of a murder, you have to be able to prove that this was meditated, that there was an element.
That is so incredibly wrong. Okay, first of all, that is only with respect to first-degree murder. First-degree murder requires premeditation. Second-degree murder does not. So let me explain the difference real quickly. If I plan to kill you ahead of time, maybe lay a trap for you or something like that, that's first degree. It's premeditated. I set it up in advance. Nobody is making that argument with respect to this case. Nobody. I have not heard one person say that the McJokers woke up that day and said, we're going to kill a Black guy. Nobody's saying that. But second degree murder is a whole nother thing. It doesn't require premeditation. It only requires that you intend to kill someone.
There you go.
That's all. And so second degree murder, hell yes. Why is this not manslaughter? It's not manslaughter because manslaughter is when you intend to hurt someone and they die. That's different. That's if I punch you in the face and you fall and hit your head and you die. I didn't intend for you to die, but I definitely intended to punch you in the face. Right. That's manslaughter. I didn't intend for you to die, but I did intend to hurt you. That's not what the McJokers could use. They're not going to go, well, I intended to hurt Aubrey.
Because they had weapons.
They had weapons. When you have a shotgun, you have to appreciate the buckshot. You got to appreciate, right? You don't grab a shotgun because you just want to talk. You don't grab a shotgun because you just want to hurt someone. You grab a shotgun because you know that has the ability to kill someone. So you're wrong on that, little girl. Next.
Have to be able to prove that this was meditated, that there was some element of meditation. People do not call the cops before they murder someone. That is just
George Zimmerman did.
Don't pick up the phone. Say hi, 911. I'm about to go out and commit a murder. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Obviously, something went wrong. So this will amount to a manslaughter charge, maybe a manslaughter conviction. This is not going to amount to a murder conviction. Okay. He was not the only person that called 911. Multiple people throughout the neighborhood called 911 because they were reporting seeing a person entering in a property that was not theirs, that was under construction. Now, I've seen.
So I'm sorry, Raphael, I don't mean to be ordering you to pause like that. I appreciate all you're doing behind the scenes, brother. But the 911 calls, they reported just that. They saw somebody enter the property and then leave. They did not report that they saw a crime committed.
Correct.
Anything like that. There was not one 911 call that said that person committed a crime. Nothing like that. And even when the McJokers called, they could not say that he had committed a crime or that they had witnessed him committing a crime. Again, they were not authorized under Georgia's citizens arrest law to pursue him in any regard.
Were reporting seeing a person entering in a property that was not theirs, that was under construction. Now, I have seen people who first said that this was all a lie, he was just a jogger, now pivot and say, okay, he just liked to look around at architecture in the neighborhood and that was a thing. Well, first and foremost, okay, just a jogger wearing khakis who decides to stop in the middle of a jog to go onto a property that isn't his and enter in a construction site, a garage or a house, whatever it is that was under construction, and go in and expects nobody to raise a red flag, that's pointedly ridiculous. What I hate about this, and what I always hate about, when Black America gets behind an issue like this, is that we can never argue and be reasonable. We can never say, okay, you know what? He should not have been on the property because he shouldn't have. You should never be trespassing on someone's property. We should not be pretending that it's normal behavior to walk through construction sites, especially when there are no construction workers there in a private neighborhood. It's not like it was a building being built. It was on a quiet street. You walk up on somebody's property. He's not jogging in the video. He's walking slowly onto the property.
And when you're jogging outside, you never stop to walk.
Okay, right. That escalated the situation in just his action of deciding to enter a property while he was on a jog in khaki pants. Obviously, escalated the situation. Now people calling 911. Then you have this guy who they start calling 911.
Situation.
Say it again.
I said, how did that escalate the situation? What was the situation?
Right.
What was the situation?
Yeah. She does. Yeah, that's
like I said.
Right.
Reaching like this.
Huge reaching here.
To watch. She doesn't believe herself.
No, she doesn't.
Crazy.
Related the situation in just his action of deciding to enter a property while he was on a jog in khaki pants. Obviously, escalated the situation and people were calling 911. Then you have this guy who they start calling 911, and this guy who says he's going to make a citizen's arrest calls 911, gives them a description, and gets in his car with his son and has a shotgun. If the point of the debate that people were having was whether or not that action was smart, whether or not making a citizen's arrest is a good idea, you would probably find that everyone sort of agrees that it's not really the best thing to do. Calling 911 is usually enough. If I saw someone entering a property and I didn't think they lived there, I would call 911 and I would leave it alone. That is not the argument that people are making. They are calling this a modern day lynching. They are calling this as something being motivated by race. This is not motivated by race. The second you call 911 and you're entering another property, the motivation behind somebody trying to figure out who you are in their neighborhood is not racially motivated. It's because you do not own the property that you are on. There's no reason. Please
pause, Raphael. And this is what's disingenuous about this, because there are white people, surveyors, the people that come in to do appraisals and shit. Let me tell you something. You know how many times I have seen white people just walk up on the property? And during Hurricane Sandy around here, after a while, when people started returning, there was white people just walk right into my backyard, just take pictures and shit. I'm like, who are you? Oh, I'm from the insurance company. I just need to get pictures of your backyard. We actually are present in here. This is occupied, but they don't even have the respect to come and say, hey, you mind if I take a look and do that? That happens all the time. And if you think that the distinction isn't because this person was a Black man, that's my issue with her. But that's disingenuous, because they wouldn't have called. Think about all of the patty barbecues and who they're calling the police because the Black people are someplace they shouldn't be.
Right.
That's racial.
Right.
Property. The motivation behind somebody trying to figure out who you are in their neighborhood is not racially motivated. It's because you do not own the property that you are on. There is no reason for people to be injecting race into this narrative. Argue it on the basis of whether you think a citizen's arrest is valid. Argue it on the basis of whether you think that Ahmaud Arbery deserved to die. I don't see a single person who has made the argument that they think that this man deserved to die. But arguing it on the basis and pretending that this was racially motivated, it's stupid. I mean, it's incredibly stupid. Beyond that, when people like LeBron James perpetuate this idea that Black people are being murdered and hunted by white people, it defies common sense because it goes against every statistic in America. We have a culture issue in Black people.
That is not true. Pause.
Break it down, Royce. Every statistic.
Listen, I met a brother who did the research at Congressional Black Caucus a year and a half ago. He says that first of all, out of all of the law enforcement agencies in the United States, only about 10 or 15% of them keep statistics on the murders of people based on race. So you don't, unless you do an outside, right, like the FBI statistics and all the DOJ statistics, You can't even get, those statistics aren't even accurate because all of the law enforcement agencies doesn't do it. He said that he met a guy who was doing the research and found that every 36 hours in our country, an unarmed African American is shot and killed.
Wow.
Every 36. That's so high, I couldn't even believe it.
Wow.
I was like, 36 hours? He said every 36 hours.
Every 36
I said, well, that is so far removed from what people understand. And see, I'm the research guy. Yes. I got to have the numbers and the data and the research for when somebody says something like that, because what she's just saying is something to persuade someone to believe in the points that she's making. She doesn't have the data. So I need to have the data when I meet people like this.
They need, you know what they need, brother? Again, you know, what they have in Candance Owens is someone that looks like us to tell us that we're stupid and incapable of thinking.
Exactly.
And we will believe it because she looks like us.
You're right. You're right. I'm trying to get off of that.
Crazy. It's crazy.
We constantly accept this lie that somehow we're the societal victims. You know, when in fact, when you look at the stats, if you want to start playing the race game, we're going to be the ones that look bad. You know, we represent 13% of the population, but we account for 40%, approximately 40% of all of the murders in this country. Whereas white people account for 61% of the population, more than half of the population, and they commit less murders than we do. You can't just go around pretending that we are the people that are constantly being oppressed, and people that are.
That is a disingenuous fact. That is a disingenuous fact. And she's trying that whole the black on black crime, when the truth is that all crimes, most crimes are committed, the victims look like the perpetrators. Most of the crimes, whether it's black on black or white on white, there's no special black on black crime problem. It's just a fact. You tend to be a victim in your community. So white people tend to be victims of other white people, and black people tend to be victims of other black people.
Actual fact.
It has nothing to do. That's a fiction.
And again, this is Kansas City Shuffle once again.
Right.
The real issue is, and if everything she said had an inkling of validity, it flies in the face of the fact that these people lied and covered up and lied and covered up and lied and covered up until the one dude leaks the video because he actually thinks it's going to clear.
Helpful. Yes.
Because he thinks, hey, I'll leak it and we'll be totally clear. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is they all pretty much were already in the clear for 3 months.
Thank you. Yes, they were for 3 months. That's right.
Approximately 40% of all of the murders in this country, whereas white people account for 61% of the population, more than half of the population, and they commit less murders than we do. You can't just go around pretending that we are the people that are constantly being oppressed and are the people that are constantly, being hunted down, when we know that black people kill white people at 2 times a higher rate than the other way around. And I'm not saying this, by the way, to say all black people are horrible, and that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to have a more honest conversation about what is going on in this country. The purpose is that every single time a murder happens, it doesn't mean that it's racially motivated. Sometimes things just go wrong. Obviously, a lot of stuff went wrong in that video that we saw, that 10-second clip of that person running. A lot of things went wrong. First and foremost, I bet the person who had the gun wasn't expecting him to be lunged at. Obviously, if he was out to hunt the black person, okay, he would have shot him at a distance. When you're out hunting, you don't wait for the thing that you're hunting to grab your gun and go back and forth. Obviously, we're not going to be able to prove the standard that he wanted to hunt him, but wanted to wait until the guy grabbed his gun and went and wanted to wrestle with him. That just defies common sense. If he wanted to kill the guy, he would have fired off a couple of shots before he got anywhere near him. I think he wanted to make the guy stop, and intimidate him and wait for the cops to get there because he was convinced that this was the guy that was recently burglarizing his home. Unfortunately, Ahmaud Arbery, who has a history, of crime, lunged at him, and things went off. And it's unfortunate that
Pause. This is where
Wow.
Right. It's like, you got to sit down for a minute. I need to breathe. It's like, really? Like, really? You're going to blame the victim, sully the victim right now? You are not focusing at all on whether or not the actions of the McJokers were right. You're talking about this individual, and because you said Travis McJoker he took out the gun to intimidate him. Okay, so is that okay? A shotgun? You don't intimidate people with shotguns in Georgia, and you're a white man and it's the black kid? Come on. How dense are you? Wow. And as if these people were privy to whatever his background was. They
had his record.
They had his record. They knew it. Like, come on. This is some Monday morning quarterbacking.
That's unreal.
Unbelievable. And that article, there's an article, the one that talks about her 2008 lawsuit, a couple of them. At the very end of that article, it talks about she was arrested for harassment at some point back in 2008. Doesn't say what happened with the case, but if we're going to go by somebody being arrested, then we can't take none of what you say.
We can say the same thing. She has a
exactly.
history.
You have a history. You have a history, Candace. Right. You can't be trusted.
Oh my God, man. Oh. Wow.
There because he was convinced that this was the guy that was recently burglarizing his home. Unfortunately, Ahmaud Arbery, who has a history, of crime,
of crime,
and it's unfortunate that this person ended up dead in a situation that didn't need to ever culminate into a death. But what's going to happen is it's going to be a manslaughter charge, and the defense is going to argue for self-defense.
It's already a murder charge
on a self-defense claim in this case, because like I said, Arbery did charge him. You can see the scuffle. You did charge him. Now, I'm not saying he should. I'm saying he could. So save your outrage for when that likely or could happen. From everything that I'm seeing of people perpetuating this and pretending that, this is anything more than just election fodder. When our media declined, they all had the video of him trespassing on property, and none of them published the video until yesterday because they want Black Americans angry. They want Black Americans to constantly believe that we're being oppressed and that white men are trying to kill us at every turn.
That's not true.
They could have easily given the video more.
Can you pause? Go ahead, Royce.
Why is she saying that the media had the video?
Right.
When the guy leaked the video.
He leaked it, exactly.
He leaked the video to the media. And see, here's the thing. The district attorneys had the video and kept it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It wasn't that the media had it. Right. The media just got it.
Yep.
Because people like Roland Martin and other individuals were bringing attention to the case, and they got scared and leaked it.
Go.
Yep.
Their own video.
Jackie Johnson blocked the initial arrest attempts. Bottom line, she was protecting her former colleague.
That's it. Exactly. Wrote a letter about it and everything.
Say it again, sis.
They wrote a letter to the prosecutor recommending no charges be filed.
No charges.
Yeah.
No charges. See, that's the thing she'll never talk about. See, because it's not just, this guy kills the other guy. It's no, they are protected by the very system that's supposed to protect all citizens in the process of murdering him.
Right. Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with here. There is no system that protects brown-skinned people in America to murder even each other.
No.
It's crazy.
Black Americans to constantly believe that we're being oppressed and that white men are trying to kill us at every turn. They could have easily given the videos more context. They could have published the video of him entering the property. They could have told you about the 911 calls that were coming throughout the neighborhood, and everyone would have quieted down a little bit. But Black Americans are so reactive. We got people that are wearing I run with Maud t-shirts, showing up to protest, showing up, getting ready to riot if this person doesn't get this or doesn't get that, because we never pause to think. I could think of no other race that does this, literally no other race that does this. And recently in New York City, a Jewish person, a Jewish rabbi, was stabbed in the head during a service literally for being Jewish by a Black man in the neighborhood. And that was one example in a string of crimes that were being perpetrated by Black people to Jewish people in the neighborhood. There was never, ever, ever any Jewish person that came out and said, Jewish people literally are being attacked when they come out of their homes, are literally being hunted by Black people.
The false equivalent. This is what you call a false equivalent, right? When you try to compare apples and oranges, right? And again, this is what I call intellectual dishonesty.
Exactly.
Right, because people who aren't adept enough to discern your trickery, right, might actually buy into this bullshit.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's a false analogy, get out of here with that. Come on.
Exactly.
That because that's hyperbole. It sounds foolish, it sounds emotional, it sounds irrational. Okay. Yes, somebody did something, and it's a horrible thing when any person ends up dead. But to only speak about what has gone on confined simply to race, it's because of the color of their skin. It doesn't make us sound intelligent. It makes us sound angry and emotional and irrational. And we need to have a more honest discussion.
This is the reason I went through that entire first 30 minutes of talking about how the legal system has referred to us, Black people in this country, how they have regarded us, how this country has seen us and dealt with us. And so that for her to sit here and it flies in the face of reason, given our history, for you to say that race is not a factor. Yeah. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's ridiculous as I demonstrated, race has always been a factor. And if it wasn't a factor, why did they go to such great lengths to make it one?
Right.
Because of the color of their skin, it doesn't make us sound intelligent. It makes us sound angry and emotional and irrational. And we need to have a more honest discussion when these things happen. It is not always about race. It is not Blacks murder whites and that's just murder. It is not, Blacks murder Blacks and that's just murder. And then the final clause is if a white person kills a Black person, that's instantly Ku Klux Klan racist lynchings coming back from the civil rights era. That's just ridiculous. From what I'm hearing, more is going to come out about the story. We already know that.
Let me pause for a second. I need to clarify that because she said it again. If we're not talking about the civil rights era when we're talking about lynching, we're talking about Jim Crow. We're talking about after Reconstruction. We're talking about the 1800s. We're not talking about the 1940s, 50s, and 60s of the civil rights era as we know it. That's not that. She's talking about two different time periods and conflating the two. Time period. Right, and conflating the two. And that just shows you how ignorant she is about her own history in this country.
Correct.
And she knows that she can be ignorant because other people are ignorant about it as well.
Exactly. And they don't know, they don't have a discerning ear.
No. But this is also too, why early on when you gave the history, you giving context, like we said before we got on the air, man. Sadly for our people, which is why Candance Owens can have influence over some of our people. Sadly for our people, context is a moving target.
Yeah. Yep. They don't get it, and they don't get context. They haven't been taught it, and so they can easily buy into the narrative she's selling that race is not a factor, because if you don't know the history of this country, you might actually believe that bullshit.
Right.
As if a white person kills a Black person, that's instantly the Ku Klux Klan racist lynchings coming back from the civil rights era. That's just ridiculous. From what I'm hearing, more is going to come out about the story. We already know that, Ahmaud Arbery has a history with mental health issues, that he's been arrested before. From what I'm hearing, there's a lot that people don't.
You've been arrested before, Candace.
Right, she's been arrested before.
Come on. I'm going to need you to stop saying that.
Exactly.
Because an arrest is nothing. It doesn't take anything to be arrested, especially if you are a Black person in this country, right? They don't even allow you to bring that up in court that someone's arrested. You can only bring up that they were convicted.
Right.
Because an arrest is an accusation, and that's it, and nothing more. So stop using that. People have to stop using that as if it has some merit in this argument. It does not. It does not. And it's not like he was wearing a t-shirt that said, hey, I got prior history of burglary. You know what I'm saying? Like he's announcing, he got his burglar hat on. Come on.
Now, one thing I will say before we continue with it, one thing I will say is this: she's talking about, she's given her prognosis or her forecast. I'm sorry, her forecast is, oh well, this is probably how it's going to end up. Manslaughter, and then they're going to push for self-defense, defense, and da 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 da. We already know that.
Right. We don't expect justice in an unjust system.
We already
we don't, which is why we teach to manage your expectations, because when you manage your expectations, you manage your disappointments.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, too, we're demonstrating, we want, me speaking for myself personally and my colleagues, it's enough to demonstrate the intelligence to know right from wrong and the strength to stand up what's right no matter what.
Right on.
Don't understand. And as I said, even if it comes out that he was responsible for burglarizing that entire neighborhood for a month, that doesn't necessarily justify people jumping in their truck and trying to make a citizen's arrest.
Finally.
But what it does should stipulate to at least everybody is that this situation is not about race. It's just about somebody being in your neighborhood that shouldn't have been on private property, someone calling 911 and things getting botched. So people, you can be upset with me. I really don't care. I've never been a person that cries when, oh my God, Candace, you didn't take the bait.
Really? Because you took 6 weeks off from school for a phone call. You took 6 weeks off because they called you nigga on the phone.
Right.
Now you tough.
Right.
Now you don't care what people say about you.
Right.
Who hurt you?
I didn't know.
Those white guys hurt her so badly. I didn't know
snowflakes were brown. Sorry.
No, but I think it was a reverse psychology thing that happened, that because she was so tormented that they didn't accept her, she figured out in her mind that I do whatever it takes to get them to accept me, and this is what it takes. This is what's cathartic for her. For white people to accept her, because they rejected you when you was in high school. And it was so traumatic, again, so traumatic. Right. You had to sue the school and take off 6 whole weeks. That's like a whole maternity leave. Right? Come on.
Right.
Like I could raise a kid in the time it took you to get over a phone call. But you on here talking about, I don't really care what people say. Since when?
Since when?
Because you cared when you was looking for the bag.
Right. What was it, 37 grand?
37. I think they settled for 60 something, and the lawyers probably got their half, and she got the rest, 37. Get a bag back, Candace. Ain't no race, get a bag back.
Right.
They wasn't talking about your race.
They, oh, Candace, you're not allowed to be black anymore because you didn't senselessly defend someone. You have to just, no matter what, you defend your own. That is stupid bottom feeding mentality. There are plenty of examples of innocent black people who are killed that I speak out about. Black on black crime obviously happens way more often. Over 90% of black people are killed by other black people.
Oh, please stop. That statistic is true for white people.
Exactly.
And this is, again, an example of intellectual dishonesty, right? Because if you don't know the other side of that statistic, that sounds quite profound.
Yes, it does.
It sounds profound, but if and again, like I said, this is sad. It's sad because she's not that smart. She's really not. She's not that smart.
She's really not.
Right, she's really not. And I would give it up to her if I thought that she was, and I just simply disagreed. But I think she's dumb as a box of rocks.
She dodges certain people on the talk show and on the news. Mm-hmm. She doesn't go on Morning Joe. She won't mess with Roland Martin. No. She won't mess with a lot of those CNN, MSNBC people who are really sharp. She won't mess with them. She she try to keep it with a crowd that she can intellectually maneuver around. Right. Who don't understand the historical basis of the comments that she's making.
That's right.
Right. But I really think this is her healing. I really think that this is her way of making up for the trauma she suffered. the great trauma of the phone call.
That and somebody's putting some money in her account.
That too. But I think it's the validation that the white people are like, yay, Candance, you're doing good. Yay. And now, because race, it doesn't matter, right? But now that the white people have validated you, you feel important.
There you go.
But race doesn't matter.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
About black on black crime obviously happens way more often. Over 90% of black people are killed by other black people, and there's never any riots, any protests, or any marching about it, because somehow if we do it to our own, it's okay. Just be more honest, have a more honest discussion about things, and stop taking the bait every election year. Like, how can it literally be every 4 years with this stuff and nobody's waking up? Grow up. Have a more adult conversation, argue the real tenets of this case. I mean, there's plenty of room to debate, what happened here without pretending it's white America after black America again. Even the articles, by the way, we visited the neighborhood where this happened and there were Trump 2020 flags and MAGA flags in some of the windows. I mean, how can you be so gullible to not realize this is just about making you angry and emotional in another election year? That's the part I don't understand. It's like, how can we just keep falling for it? Because they're going to be like 1 year, like maybe 2028, where Black America's like, we've done this for the last 70 years. Something sounds off right now. Maybe it's not a lynching. Maybe other stuff went wrong, but it wasn't just a bunch of white people that wanted to kill black people. I mean, I hope so. Sometimes I do get exhausted with it because people are just foolish and they take the bait all the time. And I'm just like, is Black America ever going to wake up and stop allowing themselves to be a punchline in a white liberal leftist narrative? So far, the
punchline in the conservative right-wing narrative. You're the punchline in the conservative right-wing narrative. You're exactly that. Look at the polling in Black.
I wish I could pull up comments from the amount of people.
Yeah, I saw them.
That identify as white in America that commented on my page a few days ago that literally said this was not those guys' first rodeo.
Wow. There you go. Yeah, let's wait for that to come out. Let's wait for those details and those facts to come on out.
Right.
We got another minute, 24 seconds of this heifer. Let's go.
Just like, is Black America ever going to wake up and stop allowing themselves to be a punchline in a white liberal leftist narrative? So far, the answer is no. I'll wrap this by saying LeBron James is an idiot. And he
You're an idiot. I'm going to say that on behalf of LeBron James.
He will never be a Michael Jordan because he just
taking the time. Like, what is the point? What really? Now you go for the ad hominem tax with the well, you'll never be a Michael Jordan because you disagree with him. So now you're going to try to challenge his game. Well, what talent do you have at all? Nothing. You have no marketable skill at all. They picked like the scrawniest, dumbest Black girl and said, hey, go say this shit, put a battery in your back, and you ran with it.
Right. Ask her this, if she wants to take shots at LeBron, what school has she founded?
Not only what school did you go to even? I'm about to find out. What
are your credentials?
What are your
when you just be talking about somebody's intellectual capacity?
Thank you. I want to know because we have no. Come on, I need to know. I really do. I want to match degree for degree. Let's do it.
Liberal leftist narrative. So far, the answer is no. I'll wrap this by saying LeBron James is an idiot, and he always takes the bait, and it is why I tweeted that he will never be a Kobe, he will never be a Michael Jordan, because he just has never taken the time to simply educate himself, and he is always reactive and emotional. He is a great basketball player, but as far as that goes, that is really the extent of it in terms of his contributions to helping Black Americans evolve, right? Not just giving out free money, not just building a charity, actually evolve. So you get to a point where you're not going to have to give out as much money. So you get to a point where you're not going to have to do as much charity, right? Because Black Americans have evolved mentally, right? Have gotten to a point where we're more successful academically, have gotten to a point where we can debate things, debate the actual facts of a situation, not the emotions of a situation. When Black Americans can step out of the media.
So can we just pause for a second? Because I just took a second to look up Wikipedia just because I needed to see.
I know, Royce.
I know she's a fucking dumb
dude.
So she graduated from the Stanford High School, which is the one in Connecticut where she sued after, you know, they called her, she needed to hold 6 weeks off. So she got a high school diploma. And then she went on from there. She pursued an undergraduate degree in journalism at the University of Rhode Island and left in her junior year.
Dropped out.
Beauty school dropout. Fuck out of you! You didn't even finish school.
How is that for perpetuating the stereotype?
Like, are you serious? Wait, you don't got a sheepskin? Ain't got no sheepskin? I got sheepskin on both sides of these walls. Don't give me the show in the kitchen. I got sheepskin down there. I got sheepskin over there. Wow. I'm just saying. You dropped out when you was a junior. That means you probably stopped going when you was a sophomore. You just
right. Hey, and they cut that grant money junior year.
Exactly. You're like, let me get this tap and pell check, and then I'ma quit. Get out of here. Get out of here, you bum ass bitch.
We know the hustle.
Come on. Get out of here. Man. I'm gonna need you to go back to school and finish up that degree in Rhode Island before you come holler at your girl. Cause seriously. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, go ahead. Let's finish.
Facts of a situation, not the emotions of a situation. When Black Americans can step out of the media brainwashing, that's the sort of things, those are the sort of things that I look forward to in the future. And unfortunately, we live in an era of Black false prophets, and the ones that are trying to tell the truth get castigated. So I will leave it at that and look forward to being castigated in the comments. Bye, guys.
You could have went to like TCI or something, you know, and got you went to TCI and got you a trade or something. Is Trump University in Rhode Island? I'm just trying to do my numbers here.
Unreal.
Yo, when I say loser, this is the only job she can do. This is the only thing she can do. They were like, you probably can't do nothing else in your life. We're gonna pay you a whole lot of money. Just say what's on these cards.
Hear these talking points. Learn these.
We're
gonna practice with you a couple times a week. And then we're gonna send you on Fox.
Exactly.
We're gonna put you on Fox and Friends. Tucker Carlson.
Right, and they'll softball you. Take that, and you just run with it. Whatever they say, just go with it.
Underhand. Toss you this underhand pitch.
My colleague just said that Turning Point USA paid off her college debt.
Really?
And you had the nerve to have debt and you ain't even finish? You didn't even get the degree for the debt. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Turning Point. That's a short leash they got you on there, girl. Mm-hmm. I tell you, we gonna call you Candance a slave. Instead of Celia, we going with Candance a slave. That's that's gonna be my next article. Celia a slave versus Candance a slave. Yeah. So I'm glad we did do the video, brother. I figured I thought it was gonna take too long. Took another hour, but you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
We'll
hear it, brother. I hadn't heard the video, so I'm glad I heard it.
I'm glad you was here to hear it. I'm glad you heard it here.
Right.
We'll do the cop guy another time because it's 2 hours, and I'm on fumes at this point. But I do want to take a moment to thank you, brothers. Thank you. You guys can't see the brother in the back behind the 7 running all of the cameras. I thank you so much for your professionalism and helping us out. And I apologize if I was like, stop. You know, that wasn't directed at you. Thank you, Brother Sharif. I appreciate you reaching out to me. You didn't have to do that. You know, I'm always here for the brothers and the Moorish Nation. And my brother Royce Kinniebrew, thank you so much for coming through. You know, your input is always so invaluable. I love you, brother.
Thank you. Love you too, sis.
I do. And then you guys can wrap up. I just wanted to get my
love. Thank you very much. You know, both of you all. Royce, it's a pleasure meeting you, brother, man. It's always a pleasure meeting another soldier, you know.
Same.
I mean, the only thing I got to say on this, honestly, is, you know, outside of everything that's been said, is not only are we smart enough to know the circumstances of our own social situation in America, we have courage enough to face down multiple assailants armed, nothing but our hands.
That's right. That's right. And that's why they fear us.
You know what I'm saying? Buddha lay dying and laughed at his assailants. And from the religious perspective, Jesus wouldn't stay dead at all. Figure that out.
Right.
This is Ali's men's brother Anael-Bey, Sharif Bey. Thank you all for coming on. Thank my guests for coming on. And listen, man, it don't stop.
Royce, you want to say something before we get out of here?
Hey, the last thing for me is that I just always love to be able to share when we can talk about, you know, our situation in this country, and then what kind of solutions that we can come up with to alleviate some of this, because we have to come up with the solutions. My piece is I do the implicit bias, unconscious bias piece, where I take that piece into a whole lot of places where people don't want to hear it. I do a lot of still federal contracting, where, you know, I was in Department of Education, NASA, and you break that piece down. And these are people who would never, ever get an opportunity to hear this piece. And see, I take it from the historical, patriotic side, that if you are really concerned with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and holding up the doctrines of this country, then you have to analyze and also admit there are some disparities. And see, the way that I do it as a teacher, and I do as in the learning, where you have to find it out yourself, and I have to explain them. There are these disparities, so you explain them for me.
Right.
I'm going to give you this information. Now you explain the disparities on why 3 times as many Black women die in childbirth.
That's right.
Why that University of Virginia students, medical students, said that they give less pain medicine to Black patients than they do white patients.
Right.
Explain the disparities to me.
Right.
And are we going to be courageous enough to then talk about, are all of these numbers of COVID deaths of African-American people because of what? Explain it to us then, brothers and sisters.
Right.
I don't give them the answer. I just let them think. And so when I get an opportunity to share, that's how I like to do it.
I like that. That's right. Let them come to it on their own. They need to.
Listen, you know, besides the topic being a pertinent topic, you know, I'm kind of feeling this 3-way chemistry. We got to.
Yeah, this is good. It's good. I feel like we bodied somebody tonight.
Yes. Hey, come up with something else. Give me 48 hours, and I'll really bring the funk.
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, brothers. It was a pleasure.
Talk soon.
I'll be sharing this video around. Make sure y'all share it too.
Oh, you already.
Okay. All right. Peace, family.
All right. Take care.
Peace. I love you. I really do.
You guys too.
Peace.